Oh my gosh, McGlash is already here.
Yeah.
Oh, am I being in the center now?
Yes.
Oh,
You're center stage, baby.
oh my goodness. Put my elk on. And then
there we are. Right.
yeah. Yeah. You have to turn your video on.
Start video. There we go.
There you go.
Okay, honey.
There you go. You go.
Thank you. Love you.
Hello.
I have a wonderful wife, just so everyone.
You do? You would tell us. What were you gonna say?
An Eshet Kyle. An Eshet Kyle Miemsa. I have a wonderful wife, a beautiful wife, an Eshet Kyle.
Aisha is woman.
Right, a woman of valor, me Imsa, who can find?
Oh, you know, speaking of women of valor, I just came across the other day the Sword of Judith, and I was thinking about creating a little maybe a like a challah knife or something that would be representative of the Sword of Judith.
Okay.
You know, something kind of nice to decorate.
I think that would definitely work.
Right. And so I'm gonna step away for just 1 second because people are drifting in, and I wanted to get this book about up and ready for us to show, and I'm not sure if I have it.
Okay, thank you very much, honey. You can go back and rest. I love you. Bye.
Oh boy, it's gotta be here. What about this road? It's a book about. It's a book about all different about invisible ink. Oh, there it is. It's gotta be. There it is. I found it was literally the one that is hiding behind the post that I can't see. Okay, and now we have, and then all right. People still drifting in. That's good. Oh. So I went and I was just at in Rhode Island there visiting my daughter who's at the culinary school, and they have a culinary museum there, which was amazing, and they had lots of different displays of you know, the culinary histories of various cultures, and they had a pretty large Jewish section, which was like, you know, kosher Chinese food and things like that. It was really fascinating. You know, they just had really interesting displays. It was really, really, really neat. Yeah, it was very inspiring. So, all right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we have 8. What time is it? 6 o'clock on the nose. All right, let's okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you for giving us the Torah. And speaking of that, by the way, don't stay tuned. October 20th, we're gonna have on Discord a watch party of the movie Pi, which is all about gematria. And the headaches it causes. and it is really, really fascinating. And my favorite, one of my favorite lines in the movie is the mathematician has a professor that he goes to that he considers to be wiser than him, his professor, and his professor and him get into a big fight about the mysticism of numbers, and the professor screams at him and he says, "This is when you cease to become a mathematician and start to become a numerologist." So it's pretty great.
It's an excellent film.
Super
And
film.
it gets better every time I watch it. I feel like it's so deep. There's so many layers.
Yeah. So tonight we're in Parsha V'zot Habracha, right? Which is the death of Moses. The death of Moses. And I don't know if anybody read it. Did anyone read it? I hope you read it. I don't know if Rabbi McLashley has some things to say up front, or
Actually, I was the death of Moses, as as you alluded to last week. Moses wrote about his own death, and he actually used, I believe, his tears for the ink. It was an invisible ink, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
And that was so who wrote about Moshe Rabbeinu's death?
Yeah, that was
what I actually did. I did some research concerning what we had talked about earlier, and I came up with an excellent Devar Torah, a Halloween Devar Torah.
Okay, a Devar Torah, for those that don't know, is like a speech, a little explanation.
Right, like a sermon, but it's a Halloween Devar Torah.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is there's something called with Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement that's coming up. This Friday is Erev Yom Kippur, that's the Eve, so it falls out on Saturday, Shabbat this year. And what's really interesting is that in the Torah and what would be called generally the Old Testament, it says that, and this is from Esha Torah, and Esha Torah, they have that means fire of the Torah. And I had some connection because my first year of rabbinical school was in Israel. And that was back during the days when Reb Noach Weinberg was the dean. We call it the Rosh Yeshiva, was the dean of the seminary. So Esha Torah, they have a good reputation as representing traditional orthodoxy. And to get to the point here, so we have Yom Kippur coming up. Now, how does this tie in with Halloween? Well, I'll get there. In the Yom Kippur service with the two goats, it was called the Seir La'azazel. Okay, they're taken and they're pushed off a cliff, the Egla Rufa. I mean, they are really brutalized, these poor goats. And in the Mishnah, in Yoma, actually in the Mishnah, it teaches that they were dashed to pieces before they even made it halfway down the cliff. Okay. Now, the problem with this is that the Torah forbids cruelty to animals. It's called Tsar Balei Chayim. Causing suffering to any living creature is forbidden in the written Torah. Not only is it forbidden, but even for people that want to serve God, righteous people who are not Jewish, they have in one of the commandments of Noach, we call it the 7 commandments given to Noach, the Sheva Mitzvah Noach. They have a specific commandment dealing with Aver Min Achai, not to eat flesh from a living creature. Because in ancient times, ripping a limb off a cow and roasting it was like picking an apple off a tree. So they actually, different times, really barbaric. But you'd say, well, why would that would never happen today? But it's considered that whether you're Jewish or not Jewish, doesn't make any difference. You're supposed to treat God's creatures with a certain degree of respect. So the question is, how do you explain the Seir L'Azazel? Okay, the goat that's pushed off the cliff and dashed to pieces before it makes it. Now what's really interesting is Azazel. refers, this is where it gets really weird, folks. Azazel refers to the Satan.
Yeah,
What it
Zazel
refers
is
to.
like is the wilderness, or where or it could be a demon. Sometimes is what people think. It could be. It's a word we're not entirely
From
sure.
Asia Torah, from their website. I'm just going to read this. The answer is that this is exactly the point of Yom Kippur. The Torah teaches us that the scapegoat carries Israel's sins with it to the desert, to the Midbar, right, to the desert. It's in Vayikra. Anybody who wants Vayikra, Leviticus. I'm sorry, Leviticus 16:22. We are somehow giving a gift to the Satan. This is from Asia Torah. I'm reading this.
Oh, you're not allowed to do that. You can't do that.
That's the question.
You can't do that.
That's the question here. I don't know if you can read it from here, but I'm reading it right from the Asia Torah.
Well, I'm gonna take that.
So I'm like, wait, and I have an argument today. I just called my another Scots-Irish rabbi, Rabbi Herschel McNabb, that my wife and I are very close with the family of they're Orthodox Scots-Irish Jews, and I said, oh, wait, just back up a second. I won't even kill a chicken when they do kaparot, as I said. I won't even do that. I use money and to do the atonement. There's a thing that we do: swing a chicken around our head, and as an atonement for sin. And I won't do that to the poor chicken. I mean, I use money instead, and so does Rabbi McNabb, for that matter. Because go ahead. Yeah. I mean, I'm just telling you that this is something that is done in the Orthodox community. You go around before Yom Kippur. So, are we really serving Satan this one day a year? That's my question.
Well, I have an
year.
answer. I have an answer to that.
Okay.
Actually, because and I'll tell you where I get my answer from.
Okay.
And it comes from the literature that we have about exorcisms and how to perform an exorcism in the Jewish tradition. And in that, if you read things like Sefer what's Yesod, the Rose. God, I can't remember. Yes, it talks about that you can negotiate with the malevolent force, and you can give them anything except you may not burn incense for their benefit. You can entice them with things like money or food or offerings, but the one offering that is explicitly mentioned is that you may not do incense for its benefit. And that means that you can do incense to chase it away, right? But nothing pleasing. That's where I would get that from, but I'm not sure exactly where. I would have to look that up.
Well, I'm going to use what they have here in Asia Torah, Rabbi Yosef Ber Soloveitchik. Rabbi Soloveitchik, great rabbi, Zichron Tzadik L'Vracha. Of blessed memory, that means. A righteous, when you say a righteous person of blessed memory. Zichron Tzadik L'Vracha. So used to explain, this is the way he explained it, based on an incident which occurred to him personally. Because I was having a debate when I was talking to you earlier. There was another rabbi there that I was talking to. You probably overheard us having the discussion on this. And I was like, no, count me out. I mean, for one day a year, I'm not going to join Anton Zander Levey. Okay, I'm just not. I'm not going there. Count me out. I said, this doesn't make any sense. It's a really problem thing that, I mean, whatever Azazel is, if you want to relate it to the Satan, or you want to relate it to a malevolent force or a demon or whatever you want to call it, I mean, hell, man, that really beats stamping a mug and dove it on a penny by a country mile. So Rabbi Soloveitchik used to explain it based on an incident which occurred to him personally. It says one day he was studying in his study, And he was about to begin an especially intricate topic. He was studying something that was very difficult. And he went out to tell his wife that he should not be disturbed by any visitors. Rabbi Soloveitchik said, anybody comes to the door, just send them packing. I'm not here. So what happened is that not long after that, the rabbi's attention was jarred by a knock on his study door. He answered and in came an ani. An ani is a poor person, a pauper, okay, who regularly came to the rabbi for charity. Rabbi Soloveitchik said, didn't my wife tell you not to disturb me? And the pauper explained, well, I come every year, and I was sure you wouldn't mind. The rabbi retorted, usually I give you $25, but because you came in and interrupted me and interrupted my study, this year you're only getting 10. And with that, he sent him away. So the rabbi returned to his studies, but not long after that, he was disturbed again, this time by a loud crash from the front of his house. So he hurried out to see what had happened, and his wife had been backing out the car and accidentally ran over the garbage can, destroying the garbage can. After seeing that the only damage had been to the can, he asked her, how much do these things cost? And she says, it's no big deal. It's only $15. So Rabbi Soloveitchik explained that this is the idea behind giving a gift to Satan. That's what it says on the Asia Torah website. It says, during the entire year, we imagine that we're getting away with our sins. We sin, we enjoy ourselves, nothing really happens. The sky doesn't fall, we aren't struck by lightning, and life basically goes on. One of the main messages of Yom Kippur is how false this perception is. Even if we do not see it, sin causes terrible spiritual devastation to both ourselves and to the universe around us. In other words, karmic law is basically what it's talking about, is that our actions have consequences, okay? So we never gained from our sins. The fleeting pleasure we might have thought we benefited were far offset by the terrible destruction we brought upon ourselves. Just as the $15 the rabbi thought he was saving was soon collected in some other way. This is why we give a gift to the Satan. The gains we thought he granted us when we indulged ourselves, we send off and return to him. We say we don't want. In other words, giving the devil his due. That's where this probably is came from. Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We want nothing of the pleasure and benefit. We give them back and wash our hands of all of our sinful behavior. So this is likewise one possible reason why the scapegoat is killed in such a destructive manner. It teaches us how destructive our actions were. We thought we were getting away with something. Our sins were just as cruel to the entire universe, to God's creation, as we must now be to the scapegoat. And only through this painful process of destruction and realization can our sins truly be expiated. And my argument with the rabbi was talking to in Hebrew when I was talking to you, I says, but hold on a second. There's a principle that every rabbi knows called a mitzvah haba'a ba'avera. A good deed achieved through transgression is puzzle, is invalid. For example, I steal money to give, like Robin Hood. I steal from the rich to give to the poor. I'm not giving tzedakah, but I'm still stealing. And God told me, lo tignov, you can't steal. So I can't steal even for a good purpose to do a mitzvah with. The good deed.
It's nullified.
Nullified, right? So I said, you have in the Torah, Tzar Balei Chayim, you cannot mistreat or be needlessly cruel to any living creature. And you're doing this to this poor goat. I don't understand how that doesn't run afoul of the concept of mitzvah ba'avera, which is puzzle, you know. But anyway, I'm still studying this and struggling with it. But I figured that's a great Halloween Devar Torah, because of giving an offering to an evil spirit.
The devil too. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that doesn't fit in with Halloween, what the?
Perfect.
Well, there's another thing in here actually that fits in with the book that we were just talking about. There's a line right in here that I want to point out just specifically for Faith and Lolan, who are here right now, I think, which is that, what is it? It's 33 verse verse 25. May your borders be sealed like iron and copper. Because we were just talking about iron, and we were talking about, now, Rabbi McLashley, you know about this. We just read the Fae chapter, in the big book of Halloween, and everyone was saying how iron is one of the repelling, substances to Fae. And
Barzel and Nechoshet. Barzel, I think, is iron. Nechoshet is copper.
yeah, right. Yeah. So there you go. We have the same thing. Here it is in our culture too. There you go. It's iron. Iron's a good anti-malevolent force thing. Even the fairies respect it.
Yeah, the Fae.
Yeah.
They get out of Dodge with iron.
Yeah. I hear. Did you?
Any Irishman knows that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I told everyone I caught this in the woods in the oak grove. Yeah, this Fae here. So yeah.
He screwed with the wrong guy, obviously.
So I also want to let's touch on the little invisible. Can we touch on the? Are we good with this? Can I touch on the invisible ink? Okay. So if you guys notice, right, the last 8 verses, it talks about the death of Moses, and there he is. He's narrating his own. He's the person who has supposedly wrote this book, right? Wrote this whole thing. He wrote it, right? Through, God spoke through him and he wrote it down. And it's supposed to be that he wrote every single word, including these last 8 verses. So rabbis struggled, and people struggled saying, well, how did he do that? And as Rabbi McLashley said, well, the answer is with his tears, which is invisible ink. Now, so I studied a lot about invisible ink, and if anybody wants to know about the history of invisible ink, this book is the book. This book is the Torah of invisible ink. Okay, it is the history all the way back to Herodotus. It goes way back, and it turns out so in Judaism there are prohibitions against. I wrote this thing against doing work on the Sabbath. The sages ruled that the performance of work includes writing. Okay, so but were they aware of the questions about revealing something that had already been written, right? And so if something was written, say, in invisible ink during like a Wednesday, could it be revealed on the Sabbath? And the answer is in what's called the Palestinian Talmud. We have the Jerusalem Talmud and the Babylonian Talmud. Yeah, and it describes a type of invisible ink employed by the wise men, Hakameh, the wise men of Medenha. And this is a traditional ink from antiquity that included a variety of ingredients, including a colorless substance called ma'e afazim. And the scholars of Medenha could write messages on paper with different ink, one that did not contain the ma'e afazim. Rather, the ma'e afazim was embedded in the paper. And then the recipient of this seemingly blank piece of paper could make the writing appear by pouring a specially prepared ink on it that lacked ma'e afazim over the paper. And then upon coming into contact with the ma'e afazim that was already embedded in the paper, the letters would be formed by the invisible ink. It would become very legible and clear. And I think that's like super cool. So the question then as I said before, right? Like, who wrote this? The last 8 verses. And initially, there was a big, healthy debate between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimeon. Okay, Yehuda stated, up until that point, up until those last 8 verses, Moses wrote the text, and then Joshua wrote the last 8 verses. But then fight breaks out. Rabbi Shimeon says, no, that's unacceptable. Can we imagine a single scroll of the Torah being short, 1 word? No, we must say that up until this point, God dictated and Moses repeated the words and wrote. And from that point, God dictated and Moses wrote in his own tears. And so it was Shimeon's view that Moses writes of his own death, but without repeating the words and with tears in his eyes. So there you go. But I thought that was so cool that even in antiquity, they had paper that had already had embedded within it in magic. Okay, I'm going to tell you a magic trick. A magic trick. In magic, and I mean by magic, I mean legerdemain. I mean performance magic, like what you see with a magical performer. Okay, there is what's called A and B blood. It's 2 chemicals that are separated, but when mixed together, become crimson red blood. And so what one would do is you would put A on your hand, and you would take a knife and you would put B on the knife, the liquid B on the knife. And when you touched it across your hand, all of a sudden it looked like your hand was bleeding because of the chemical reaction of the colorless A and the colorless B chemicals coming together. So I just thought it was so cool that at that time in antiquity, they have paper that's already imprinted with what you want with A in it, and you can wash it with B, right? I mean, it's a developer. It's a photographic developer. This is what it is, a developer. So cool. So that's all I have to say about that, other than it's cool and you should read the book. So any other questions? Oh, I see people are still coming in.
You might have just explained stigmata.
Well, I have had stigmata happen on my hands. I have recordings of that, and I have recordings of myself with bleeding from my eyes as a sign of stigmata. So yeah, those things, it's for sure. Fascinating though.
Put one chemical in one hand, the other one on the other, just bring them together. Instant stigmata.
Instant stigmata. Yep. Yeah. There are certain techniques to do it so that it doesn't look like you're just clapping. But yeah, I mean, so if you read this last little chapter, which is pretty brief, it's a pretty brief chapter. I want to make sure that everyone understands with what it ends with. So maybe you'd like to comment on that, Rabbi. The last chazak.
The last pasuk?
The very last sentence. It's customary for the congregation, followed by the leader, to proclaim chazak.
Chazak, v'nit chazek.
Right. Be strong, and may we all be strengthened. And why is that the custom?
We say chazak, v'nit chazek because, without Moshe, the thing that says Moshe Rabbeinu, when Moses died, what was the very thing that followed? The chet ha'egel zahav, the sin of the golden calf. So it was saying the idea is that, it was like a final rallying cry. Be faithful to God, be faithful to God's word, be faithful to what Moshe Rabbeinu taught you. And, and we promptly screwed up.
Again, for the millionth time, he's reminding them. He's reminding them again.
Right.
Yeah, cut it out. Be a good person. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I mean, it was when they didn't have the Egla Zahav there again. It says that Satan created what they call a tselem, an image of Moshe Rabbeinu in the sky. So they thought Moshe Rabbeinu was dead. So they thought Moshe Rabbeinu was dead, and that's why they made the Egla Zahav, the golden calf. The sin of the golden calf was because they thought when Moses was dead. Well, this time he's mamish dead. He's not coming back. He's gone. He's out of there, and that's it. So the idea of chazak chazak was to remain strong, to be stark, and to remain strong. This time you really don't have Moses. He's not coming back in 40 days. He's not coming back at all. And to be strong and fulfilling the mission that God gave you, that was revealed to you through Torah at Mount Sinai. That's the way why I think it concludes with those words.
Yeah,
it's like a final pep talk.
It's a final pep talk, right? Exactly. It's like we know that Moses is not here, so please don't slip back into avodah zarah.
Right.
Please don't into idol worship or whatever, because last time he was here, but now he's gone. This is it.
And when they just thought he was gone, they made the Egel Zahav. Yeah. And this time he's really gone.
So they're trying to be extra careful. Anyone else have people have questions? This is a wonderful. We're gonna have to, now we're gonna end up starting again with Bereshit. We do the cycle again. Yeah. So, any other questions out there?
He said between the end and the beginning, we could do some kind of, I don't know, blessing or magic or something. I don't know.
Between the end and the beginning?
Yeah.
Well, let's do it. Well, I think we should do it twice. Let's do it when we close today. We'll make a bracha when we close today, and we'll make a bracha, a blessing when we open next week again at Genesis 1, part 1. How about that? That sounds like a really great idea. Yeah,
yeah.
Close the loop.
Close the circle, the circle of salt and iron and copper. Wow. Well, all right.
I don't know. It's such a sad ending.
Sad ending. I know Leah's still
choked up. I don't know.
She's still mad about the big kick in the balls that Moses gets because he doesn't get to go, and she's still upset about that.
You get really attached to the protagonist no matter what their mistakes and flaws are, and you're just like, oh, I want you. You're rooting for him. And
but he's got to die. Sometimes he lived 120 years, and he was in good health the whole time.
No, I think he had pretty good. But I mean, he's just such an awesome character, and I get choked up at anything like that because heroes are, you know what I mean.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I feel you. I mean, I cried when I saw the Terminator dissolve into a puddle of goo. I
take a man. Like when every see, I know.
That's
so great.
I ask, why didn't he just ascend bodily into the heavens? Why did he get buried? Why didn't he just, like some prophets, go directly to heaven, the whole body and everything?
Right. We have a few that have ascended to heaven.
Eliyahu
with Elijah, Serach bat Asher, is another one. But Moses, I believe, was supposedly killed died by the kiss of God, by God's kiss.
Yeah,
so it wasn't. Yeah. What? Say it again.
It was called the kiss of the Shekhinah, the divine presence, the divine kiss.
Yes.
Righteous are taken with a divine kiss. Probably that's the way Howard Stern will go. No, I'm just kidding.
Um, yeah. Love it.
Bad rabbi, bad.
No. I'm surprised that the other rabbi with whom you were arguing
Right.
didn't throw earlier tonight. Didn't throw back.
Didn't crucify me. It's been done already.
No. I'm surprised he didn't use our line against you, which is, it's a paradox. Deal with it. He could have said that. So I give him an A for trying, A for effort.
Yeah, well, they know if they're gonna sit down across from me, they're in for an argument. They know that.
Well, yeah, I'm right there with you. We're on
The same team.
Rebel.
Yeah.
Rebel
Rousers. Yeah.
rabbis.
Yeah. Well, questions? Any other questions about this amazing? Oh, someone watched Terminator 2 while cleaning. Any other questions about this? It was a pretty short parsha.
Dr. Jeremy, can I ask, what is the rabbi's name?
Rabbi McLachlan.
Oh, hi, great.
Black.
I'm Faith McCann. I really enjoy you. You're wonderful.
Thank you so much. That's very
Funny.
sweet. That means a lot
Yeah.
to me. I appreciate
Well,
it.
no, seriously, I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really enjoy getting to know you.
Well,
through
we're setting up a Kabbalistic tarot session, and I'm not sure if we're going to do it on Discord or because Rabbi McLachlan is a tarot reader he is an expert tarot reader, and he's also not bad at Kabbalah stuff, knows a thing or two. I mean, he might be able to say a Hebrew word here and there.
Well, the way we use it, though, I have to clarify, it has nothing to do with divination or predicting the future. Nothing at all. Okay?
What?
It has nothing to do with divination or predicting the future.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to this.
There's a connection between tarot and Torah. The Torah, the 5 books of Moses, and tarot. And, for example, it's divided into 4 suits: swords, pentacles, wands, cups. And there's different Kabbalistic associations there. The 4-letter name of God, the Yud, He, Vav, He. The 4 worlds in Kabbalah, which is Atzilut, Bria, Yitzhak. There's 4 different angels, Michael, Gabriel, Oriel, Raphael. And then there's 4 elements: Adama, earth; Aish, fire. We would just say Aish Torah. I was just quoting, but Adama, earth; Aish, fire; Mayim, water; and Avira, which means air. And in the Kabbalistic tree of life, as Dr. Jeremy knows, there are what they call Esesifirot, 10 emanations, divine emanations from God. And that's why the suits are numbered 1 through 10. And if you look at the Wheel of Fortune card, they actually have the word Torah written out on the Wheel of Fortune along with the 4-letter name of God, the Yud, He, Vav, He. The High Priestess card, read what the scroll she has in her lap. It has printed on it, Torah, Torah.
Yeah.
So the appropriate use of tarot has nothing to do, you're not channeling spirits, you're not dealing with anything. The appropriate kosher use of tarot is not about predicting. It's helping us to gain insight into what's going on in our own lives. If there's anything magical, it's happening up here. It's not happening anywhere else, okay? Because, what it really is, it uses archetypal imagery to help us access what's going on inside of ourselves so that we can gain a fresh perspective, a new way of looking at it. And hopefully, work on ourselves to make more what you'd call judicious decisions, or to be better informed about what's going on, gives us a fresh perspective, a fresh approach. So that's the proper use of it. So no, you don't use tarot and say, oh, the death card, my God, I see dark, no, it's not about that at all. And besides, the death card doesn't even mean that. It means a positive transformation. Something has to come to a close so that a positive transformation can occur. But, forget everything you've seen in TV and movies about it. Don't be afraid. It's not, it's a spiritual Rorschach test, like the ink blot test. The ink blot test, what do you see? So you take the cards and each one, and I came up in that tradition. I learned it from my dad, actually, but it has a Kabbalistic correspondence, astrological correspondence, alchemical correspondence, elemental correspondence, numerological correspondence, gematria, and
I just for a second, I need to point out for everybody. Did you hear what he just said? He learned it from his who?
My dad, my father.
And your father was
my father was an Irish Jew. What else?
And what did he do for a living?
We had a farm, and he also had a series of barbershops.
Oh, I thought he was a rabbi too.
No.
Aha.
No,
Okay.
That's why they wanted to. That's why they wanted me to put. Actually, the way I got to rabbinical school is I didn't initially want to go to rabbinical school.
Who does?
And I don't think Herschel Gilbert McNabb, I don't think he wanted to become a rabbi either, but his parents wanted him to become a rabbi because, when you're when you're an Irish Jew, my mother said, bluntly, I'll be honest with you, I said, Mom, I'm on the honor roll, and I have I don't mind spending a couple of months in yeshiva, but commit to that amount of time, that investment of time to become a rabbi, what? And my mother made a very cogent and convincing argument. Listen, your name is David O'Reilly McLashley. You better put a rabbi in front of that, you little son of a bitch, or you're never getting married. And that was it.
Oh, that is absolutely the best argument. You can't argue with that one. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's you definitely are a a unicorn. That's what you are. You're a very interesting unicorn. Very rare. Yeah. And speaking of rare, and this is totally off topic, everyone. And I'm so sorry, but I just wanted to let you know. So I went to Rhode Island. My daughter introduced me to a friend of hers from Trinidad and Tobago. So we were sitting at a deli. We were sitting at a fantastic, amazing deli in Rhode Island, and in Providence. Just fantastic. Yeah, named Mavens, and it was just a terrific. Even the tile in the bathroom looked like a talus had work on it. The tile on the floor looked like it was like black and white cookies. It was really like beautifully done and beautiful, and the food was fantastic. And so she's telling me, this gentleman is telling me about Trinidad and Tobago, and that he says, he said, my daughter chimes in with, there are only 67 Jews in Trinidad and Tobago. And I went, there's got to be more than that. And she's like, nope. And so I looked it up. There's a small Jewish community of about 500 people, and then they said, yes, now there's about 67, which is kind of interesting to me. And the gentleman, the young man who I was sitting across from, says, yeah, well, I was in New York with the rest of my family, and I was celebrating with my father, and because my father has been like the patriarch. Was father or grandfather? Grandfather was like the patriarch of the family, and brought everybody ended up settling around New York because of him, and they were all very grateful. And he went around the room, and Many of the people didn't know each other. And he said, we're all here together, finally. And I just want everybody to know we are all diverse. Even amongst our family, we have so-and-so here who is Christian, and so-and-so here who is da-da. And these two, he referred to his two brothers who were Jewish, wearing the Star of David. So the young man who I was sitting with, he said, you know, like, you know, he didn't know that he had two Jewish uncles from Trinidad and Tobago. So Jews are everywhere. You know?
I told you about the thing with Mexican Jews. Colano, there's a group of Jews in Mexico who are descended from Aztec Indians. Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. A group of Jews in Mexico, they converted to Judaism during the Inquisition, and they're descended from Aztec Indians. And much like the history that I showed you, DNA when Ireland was Jewish, the history of the Irish Jews, you know, the Mexican Jews, they have an entire community that is descended from Aztec Indian. I don't like to use the word Indian because they're not from India, but Aztecs. They're descended from Aztecs, and you know, they're an Orthodox Jewish community, completely Jewish, respected and acknowledged as such in Israel, and
like the Kaifeng community in China.
There's a Kaifeng. There's a group of Chinese Jews. It's kind of funny because there's a Chinese Jew, there's a Mexican Jew, and there's an Irish Jew. We're all talking. And this guy comes in with payout and a long black hat and the side curls and the beard and the yarmulke on his head. And all three of us look at each other and say, Shaina Zoe, who's the guy?
Yeah. So it
shows you that being Jewish is not, it's not a race. It was never meant to be a race. And it's embracing. And the way I've reinterpreted, and I got in trouble for this, but you know, when I'm talking to my fellow Orthodox Jews, I said, what does it mean to be Anshe Bechira? Chosen people, right? You hear that term all the time. Oh, Jews are God's chosen people. I said, because we chose God. Let anyone choose God, and God chooses them. That's the way it works.
Well, may the ones who bless you be blessed, and may the ones who curse you be cursed.
Exactly. So let anyone choose God, and God chooses them. You don't have to be Jewish to be God chosen. God chose anybody who wants to choose me. You're chosen, and you don't even and if you're not born Jewish, you even get away with not having to have those 613 headaches that we've got. You know,
right? You only have to do the Noahide command.
The 7, right? 7. You got a sweet deal.
Yeah, so that's what this is in stark contrast to what we were just talking about in book club, because I was learning from people about, you know, Christian history, and that it's about what was the important thing? It was not being saved; it's about being baptized, right?
Well, it depends on
it depends on the Christian.
Well, there's a difference between sprinkling baptism and that's
and immersion
by immersion baptism. People who practice immersion baptism,
right? But it's about acceptance. It's right.
And then some can be saved by faith alone.
Some are
Sorry,
saved.
I don't know why I did that.
That's what I mean. Some are saved by faith alone,
right,
and
right.
I don't think that, and I contrasted with Judaism, where I feel like it's more emphasis is merit based. It doesn't, like what you just said is, oh, you don't even have to follow all 630. Do them all. You can do 7 and it's good enough. Good for you. That's because everyone has a share in the world to come, right? So you just have to be good, be nice.
Actually, the Gemara is filled with examples of people who aren't Jewish, who are all in Avodah Zarah, who actually practice Avodah Zarah, idolatry. And they were idolaters, but they were given a tremendous reward in the world to come for acts of gemilut chasadim, of kindness. In other words, they treated other people with kindness and compassion, and a single act of kindness and compassion, they merited. And this is in the Gemara. This is in the standard Jewish Talmud. So the very notion, Judaism has never been, oh, you have to be Jewish to have a relationship with God or to have a share in the world to come. you know, that's anathema. That's totally alien to Judaism.
So,
Maybe-
someone here, Tony has asked, what are the 7 Noahide commandments, and I'll tell them to you. Okay, 1,
Yeah.
don't worship idols. 2, don't curse God. 3, don't commit murder. 4, do not commit adultery or some sort of sexual immorality. Okay, that's really the 3 laws of Judaism. 5, don't steal. 6, and we just talked about this, not to eat the flesh torn from a living animal. And then 7, to establish courts of justice. So please don't be a cannibal. Please don't be a sex offender. Please don't commit murder. Please don't go to Diddy's parties. Okay? Just be a good person. You know, establish courts of justice, right? You know, there you go. And there's a little Noahide commander right there. There she is.
Take a bite out of this kitty.
Oh, that's a sweetheart.
She's adorable.
She's a sweetheart.
Yeah. She really is. She really is. Yeah. That's Shisha, by the way.
Yeah.
Which to everybody else means 6 in Hebrew, but that's not exactly where she got her name. She got her name because while we were in Israel and in Jordan, we smoked a lot of shisha. So and by the way, Job, by the way, he's considered to be a prophet, the Gentile prophet, the non-Jewish prophet.
Yeah, Eov. Another one, Ovadia. Ovadia Hanavi wasn't Jewish by birth.
There you go.
So, I mean, you had some very spiritually elevated people who weren't Jewish, but they had a very intimate relationship with the Rabbanu Shalom, with God. So, you know, you don't have to be Jewish to have a relationship with God. The only thing the only real thing you have to do is the Sheva Mitzvah Noach, and never buy your undergarments at retail. That should have been the 8th Noahide law. I don't know why.
No, but undergarments or any garment, it shouldn't buy retail. You can help it. That's for sure.
That's true.
Yeah. So, are there any other questions before we go? Maybe should we say a bracha for the end? I'll do one in English, and maybe Rabbi McLaughlin can Hebrew it up. And do something corresponding, which is, you know what might be appropriate actually, is the Shechechianu.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Judaism, and I would ask Rabbi McLaughlin maybe to lead us on the Shechechianu. It is a prayer that is it's a thank you, it's a gratitude for getting us to this particular point in time where we are experiencing something for the very first time. Many of you here have never sat in with a rabbi or whatever and talked about Torah in this manner, right? In this manner. So this is, I would say, I think this qualifies as a prayer for the Shechechianu. So would you?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shechechianu v'kimanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh.
Amen. And it's wonderful. Wow. Well, thank you.
I can't wait to read it again.
So we'll start again next week. Chapter 1, verse 1. I'll try to put out some PR so that maybe we can have to let everybody know. Like, I think some people didn't come because we were starting in the middle.
Yeah, well, we didn't start at the beginning last time.
I know we didn't start.
That's
We started
why-
in the middle.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
hard for me because I was like, who are these characters?
Yeah.
You know.
And I was like kind of hesitant because like I was like, I don't want any spoilers. You know, I know
No
how
spoilers.
it goes, but like I'm very, like, as a book reader, it's hard for me to start in the middle.
Yeah.
I
Well,
wasn't
now
ready.
we're gonna start
So,
again.
I'm excited to start at the beginning, and
We'll
you
do
know,
full circle.
We've got a core group of people that still like been showing up for most sessions. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
We have 3 very fun and diverse rabbis to study with. I think this has been a blast, and this has been unlike any Bible study I've ever had to go to. So thank you both and everyone for showing up and making this happen.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for showing up. And I'm gonna update the Temple of Miriam calendar with I only went through October, I think, for the first 2 weeks. So now I've got something on my list to do of to take us all the way through to the middle of next year.
Is the King James Version Bible acceptable as an English?
Is it acceptable?
Yeah, for this.
It's acceptable. There are a few
Yeah.
mistranslations there. For example, like just to think of 2, in Isaiah, they translate the word and a virgin shall give birth. The word actually used there is alma, is a woman shall give birth, a maiden. The word, if they wanted to specify virgin, they'd use the word betula, which betula is a virgin. So it's not the same word, but they changed that word, but it fits in better with the concept of virgin birth, which is central to Christian belief. Another example would be a whale. No, the term used there is a dug gadol or a dug gadolah, a big fish. A whale couldn't swallow a man. A whale swallows plankton. I mean, they have very small. They really, so so it was actually a big fish.
And a whale is a mammal.
Can I say,
Yeah.
having grown up with New King James Version and now reading the Stone Edition with Hebrew commentary, it is complete. I don't want to say completely, but there's mistranslations from Genesis 1:1 and onward, because the usage of the pronouns and how they separate Adam and Eve, and it's not thought of in that your fear of God, the fear of God, the fear of God.
As Dr. Jeremy pointed out, the word fear is actually pachad. Yira is better translated as awe.
Yeah.
And I actually use fear because everybody around me uses that word, but it's in mistranslation. Even the very beginning of the Bible, it's Bereshis bara Elokim hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Right? The way it's translated in the King James, not what it means. Bereshit bara Elokim, when God began creating the heavens and the earth, which implies an ongoing process. Not that God created it and said, "Okay, I'm done."
Yeah, like ta-da, it's there. When God began creating, and this is the story of all of that part in the beginning, and it continues on. It's continuing on even now.
Well, and
Even now we say in our prayers, we say Uftavo mechadesh b'chol yom timin maseh v'reshit, which means who in his goodness renews daily the work of creation. And there was a great rabbi, I think it was Simcha Bonim Pesichcha, said that if God, because everything was what they call in the Bible, void and without form, tohu vavohu, right? Everything was void and without form. And it says that if God would withdraw his creative power from the universe for just a second, everything would just revert to its primordial chaos. So the idea is, if God would withdraw his power for just a split second, everything would revert to its primordial chaos, and it would look like San Diego.
No, there's no organization whatsoever. In general, I mean, I think in general, the King James Version is not bad, but I do like. I mean, I like the Torah edition, and we've been using the Stone edition, which I like in particular, and I'll tell you why. It has a lot of commentary on the bottom that is from Kabbalists such as Rashi and really some really great thinkers. So not only will you have the Hebrew on one side and then their English translation, which is different than King James. It also has explanations, like where rabbis came in and they said, well, maybe not so much, or this meant that, really, blah blah blah. And you can see in these, so there's quite a bit of that, and I get a huge amount out of reading those commentaries, and that just speaks to the Jewish obsession with annotation and typesetting and commentaries on commentaries on commentaries. You
Well,
know,
it's a dissection of each word, really.
yeah,
And I think that adds so much to it. It adds the gematria, it adds, that doesn't translate in King James. You're gonna lose all that.
but no, I mean, but for reading the story, and having just and participating, yeah, if that's what you got, that's what you got. It's good, good enough. But if you're looking to kind of level up your fun, maybe, I like the Stone edition. I was resistant to it at first. I'll admit I was resistant, but now I'm kind of in love with it. And in fact, my daughter asked me for it, and I said, "No, you take the other one."
Yeah, the Rashi commentary.
Yeah.
There's an excellent book, incidentally, that explains my approach or the system that I learned tarot with, called the Rabbi's Tarot. I don't know if it's you can see. Well, it's going to reverse it, but the Rabbi's.
No, it said it did right. It did it right. It did it right. You can, yeah. The other side. There you go. The Rabbi's Tarot: Spiritual Secrets of the Tarot. Book by Daphne something.
Daphne Moore, whose mother is Irish. Anyway, so she writes it from the Jewish perspective. And as I want to reemphasize, it's not about divination. It's not about predicting the future. Not about what's telling you is going to happen. It's just about helping you to get in touch with your inner self, to bring yourself into alignment with your higher self.
This is more of the like Jodorowsky Jungian approach to tarot, right? And it's also, they're contextualized for you, right? Because we all bring different things to the table. And like I've said this before, an apple to an apple farmer means something that's a lot different than an apple to a man who hasn't eaten in a week.
Exactly.
Right? So that type of wisdom of putting things in the context of the querent comes really from Rabbi Almoli, who was from the 16th century dream or 17th century dream oniromantic interpreter. And he continually tells you over and over and over, you have to put it in the context of the querent's their life experience.
And the greatest oniromancer in the Torah was Yosef HaTzadik, Joseph, the righteous. Yeah. Yosef was an oniromancer. He did dream interpretation. He even had a scrying bowl. And a scrying bowl is used as a means of, like, I don't know, divine insight or whatever, a metaphysical, magical thing called a scrying bowl. And Joseph had a scrying bowl. And actually, Dr. Jeremy and I talked about that. And my colleagues, my fellow rabbis said, Rabbi McLashley, you're right. He had a scrying bowl, but there's no evidence that he ever used it for scrying. I said, oh, that's true. I have a toaster. I never make toast with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, sometimes people just don't want to see the obvious. What can I tell you?
It's there. I mean,
right there.
What's there is there, and deal with it. That's it. I mean, as a wise man once said, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. That's right. All right, I think we're coming up on 7. We made it, everyone, and congratulations through getting at least. I think we started over 6 months ago, so I think we started in Exodus. Yeah, we started in Exodus, so we missed a chapter. All right, we missed a book. Okay.
Well, I tell you, it's such a great group of people here. It's what they call a machaya nefashot. It like resuscitates my spirit. To see all these sweet people here, I tell you, this lady here, this lady here, this guy here, everybody has something to offer. It's great.
Thank you. All
and
right,
you're
everybody.
the greatest of all. Everybody loves you.
Well, we'll see you all next week. We'll see you all next week.
Okay.
All right.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Great
Thank
night.
you. Bye.
Yeah.